Now I call Srimati Aparajita Sarangi.
Thank you, Chairperson. Sir, it is said, brevity is the soul of wit. And I certainly would like to be called wise, and that's why I'll be as brief as possible. It's my pleasure and privilege to talk about the National Anti-Doping Bill 2021, which has been presented by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. I congratulate the ministry for having gone into it meticulously and with a visionary approach. They have worked on the bill and they have presented this bill today. Sir, this bill indeed is one with a difference. I have been sitting here all through and I have listened to almost 16 speakers from both the sides. And not one speaker has objected to the contours of the bill. This is the beauty of the bill. Everybody has supported the various provisions of the bill. Everybody has stood by the concept, the idea of having a legislation related to anti-doping in the country. The second feature of this particular bill, which actually makes it stand out, is the fact that it goes against the general notion among the friends on my right side that this government does not send bills to the parliamentary standing committees. Now, this is a bill which was presented in this parliament on 17th of December 2021. And this parliament sent it to the parliamentary standing committee. The parliamentary standing committee carefully analyzed the contours of the bill, examined the bill, gave its opinion, and submitted the bill again with its recommendations on 23rd March 2022. So this particular bill has gone through tremendous application of mind, I would say, and that is why today it's absolutely visible. Not one member among the 15 members who spoke today has opposed the bill. Sir, we are all well aware of the fact that doping is different from taking alcohol. One of our friends from the other side said, and I entirely agree, it's different from taking drugs. Doping refers to the use of substance or technique to illegally improve athletic performance. And sir, I would also like to go by the definition of Interpol. Interpol defines doping as the act of consuming artificial and illegal substance to gain advantage over others. Sir, as we talk about sports, as we talk about Khelo India, we need to talk about the contribution of Prime Minister Modi and his entire team. I still recall the tweet that he had done on the National Sports Day. Sir, on the National Sports Day, Honorable Prime Minister had greeted all the sports lovers of the country. He had written, on the occasion of the National Sports Day, I congratulate all the sports lovers from all across the country, and I hope that sports and sportsmanship will always shine in our society. While quoting him, I would definitely like to emphasize the word sportsmanship. It's very important to have that feeling, that attitude, and that approach. And therefore, there is absolutely no place for doping when we talk of sportsmanship. So this particular bill has to be made into an act. We have to approve, because, you know, this particular government has been talking of clean sports, right sportsmanship, and healthy youth. And that is why we need to have this. So, as I told you, in 2005, we had signed the UNESCO International Convention. We have to be in line with the needs of different countries. And actually, this was ratified on 7th of November 2007 by India. And that is why we needed to have a legislation. And I must tell you, one of the standing committees in yesteryears had actually pointed out that rules cannot suffice. There has to be a legislation, and that is why today we are discussing the legislation. Sir, I can say with all conviction at my command that the country, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, wants it to be a sporting powerhouse, and that is why we need to have this. Sir, some of my friends from the other side, from my right, rightly gave some figures. I would kind of corroborate that and rather kind of add to that. There was a report of 2019. The World Anti-Doping Agency brought out a report. In 2019, 152 cases of anti-doping rule violations had been brought out. And sir, no sir, I need some time. Unfortunately, 17%, 152 constituted 17% of all the anti-doping rule violations related to India. So that's the major concern, and that is why this bill is very important. Sir, this bill, let me come, for 2 minutes I will take, let me come to the contours of the bill. It contains 34 provisions and 7 chapters, very well written, very well drafted, meticulously looked into.
And we have number of amendments also to be moved.
Yes.
Keep the time.
So the bill streamlines
Keep the time in mind, please.
the doping control measures through creating the required institutions and empowering them. As we are aware, it clearly shows that the government has zero tolerance towards doping and lays down what would constitute anti-doping rule violations. Sir, Chapter 3 of this bill seeks to create a national board for anti-doping. We have already talked about it.
Thank you.
To be headed by an experienced person with not less than 20 years in the field of general administration, sports administration, or a retired eminent athlete. Sir, Section 11 and 12 are very important. Section 11, as you were talking about, you were reading out, sir, Section 11 relates to the anti-doping disciplinary panel, which is extremely important. All these issues of rule violations will be taken up there. And very important is Section 12, because Section 12 talks of the appeal panel. Sir, anybody who is aggrieved, any sports person who is aggrieved can always go and, in fact, voice his concerns. So Chapter 5 clearly outlines the doping control processes and empowers the agency with powers of search and seizure and powers to take necessary action against violators. Sir, Amrit Kal we are going through, and as we talk of this bill, we are reminded of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, currently infamous, but at one point of time, he was the most famous sports personality in the world. His entire glory was taken away because that time there was not much of consciousness, and he got into these techniques to enhance his performance. So I think while we discuss this, while we discuss the relevance of this bill, we need to think of personalities like Ben Johnson, whose entire sports life was ruined. And that is why I can only say that we all need to commend the efforts of the Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports and his entire team for having worked on this particular bill. I would also like to thank the members of the Parliamentary Standing Committee who have given their best. And I would also like to thank all my colleagues on my right side. Not one of them objected to the bill. So with this, I can only say that we all need to unanimously support this bill.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.